really interesting topic I want to quickly chat about today, which is how much of a role does marketing now play in running a successful coffee business? I'll just fire that right at you.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one because it's something we talked about when Robbie and I kind of started getting together to talk about coffee, talk about business and all that kind of stuff was roughly summer of 2021. And, you know, one of the first things I said to you is that increasingly my understanding from helping my partner Kat run Treen is that running a business is 50% running the business and 50% being a media company. You know, what I was seeing from my partner Kat was that she was spending an enormous amount of time on Instagram, Instagram in particular, but now obviously since, you know, the last 2 years, TikTok's exploded. I think YouTube's always been kind of bubbling away in the background, but it's kind of exploded as well through lockdown with people watching more long form content, you know, probably while they're at home. So yeah, my answer to that initially is I think as a business, you are now partly a media company. There's no way around it.
And obviously there'll be businesses which can succeed without the marketing. I can think of one very successful coffee business in Edinburgh. You know, John Sharp, the owner of Wellington, who has Kilimanjaro, its project, Blackwoods. I don't think any of them have a presence at all on social media. Probably the only presence they have is customer-led, i.e. Google reviews and these kind of things. And he has succeeded. But I think a large part of the marketing is really powerful when you're trying to do e-commerce and you're trying to sell a tangible product online, which both businesses you're now involved in. You know, Cairngorm is trying to sell coffee, Treen is trying to sell clothes in an online capacity. So if you take out that and you're literally talking about a brick and mortar cafe environment, would the advice be that you think that cafes should be spending thousands of pounds on Instagram ads or these kind of things? I don't know what the answer to that is. It's tough.
I think it is a very tough question. And I think with regards to both Treen and Cairngorm, having a physical presence is absolutely key. I think physical presence allows you to deliver customer service and a product. And, you know, running a business is having a good product and delivering it well to a customer so that they come back and buy it again. And I think having a physical space makes it easier to do that. You can control the delivery of your product and you can control the customer service element. And then from an online point of view, it's much, much harder. And all of a sudden you're competing against, you know, us in the coffee industry. We're competing against hundreds of other coffee providers in the UK. So, you know, how do you differentiate your service to an online customer? How do you differentiate your product if nobody's tried you yet? So from my point of view, doing good marketing and having content that can build trust with a consumer goes part way to getting them to try your product, and then it needs to be good and the customer service needs to be good. Yeah,
the trust thing is really key because it's like the person who is going to be spending money within your four walls or however many walls you have in a brick and mortar cafe type environment. It's tough to, you know, money is hard earned now more than ever. So you almost have to deliver on their expectations far before they decide to actually spend that money and enter the shop. I think also, you know, the opportunities you're given with marketing is that you can almost guide that experience, make them feel comfortable with what they're going to receive. You know, we talked a lot about the food within our business, and it's, you know, if you can almost give an insight into what the food menu might be using your social channels and your marketing, it kind of puts people at ease before they come into the shop, I would imagine.
Yeah, massively. And I think even, you know, things like you going to New York or going on holiday, you now use social media and all sorts of platforms, but predominantly social media to find out where to go. So from a coffee point of view, you will, you know, use Instagram to find out which coffee places you should be going to in New York. Previously, you maybe would have sat on TripAdvisor or you would have Googled, you know, good coffee places to go. You might still Google that, but then you will go and look at their Instagram, look at their TikTok and see what the vibe is. So having that presence, you know, gets people to see you and then tourists in particular to come in. And I think in Edinburgh, that's very important. You know, the tourist industry here is huge.
Well, that's it. So in the example of going to New York, you know, you basically have, we had a 4-day window. And so you have 4 breakfasts, 4 lunch and 4 dinners. And you can only drink so much coffee in between. But it's like then those 4 dinners are, you do not want to make a mistake. So there's so much. I don't want to sound like I've put the legwork in. You know, my wife put a lot of work into, where are we going to go based on a lot of time spent on Instagram, essentially. So it is quite interesting, and we do have to think about it now as a business who, we are very seasonal in terms of tourists when it comes to the fringe, and you are competing against a very large market of coffee shops now. It is saturated, and that is a great thing. It's like a real, community of cafes in Edinburgh, which is brilliant. It gives us a real scene, a coffee scene, but it is hard to make that impact and try and bring people in the door. But it's interesting. Do you think that COVID has sparked a lot of change in how people market themselves?
Yeah, I think massively so. First of all, because likes of a cafe, your cafe was closed, so everyone is at home, and you all of a sudden need to be hitting people sitting at home. And obviously the way to access people sitting at home was through social media. So I think during the initial COVID stages in 2020, there was an explosion in probably content production, podcasts. I think we probably all noticed that literally everyone in the world was doing a podcast. Everyone was doing Instagram lives. Like, there was so much social media attention grabbing kind of going on during that stage. I think in the marketing chats that we've had recently, the consequence of that is that the cost of online advertising has absolutely exploded. Because the competition is now enormous. And that hasn't really come down post-COVID. That has gone through the roof because so many people were living their lives online during COVID. And obviously it cost more to acquire all those new online customers. But since COVID's ended, those customers are still, to a certain extent, still online, and the cost to acquire them is still ridiculously high. So COVID has a massive impact.
How much do you think you're impacted by ads? Like, have you ever bought coffee from an ad?
I have not, but we send each other a lot of coffee ads. Like, we get hit daily by huge numbers of coffee ads, and I do watch them. I think we've had this chat a lot. It's every product really probably is at saturation in terms of ads on Instagram. We follow a lot of coffee related stuff, so we get hit with a lot of coffee ads, which doesn't seem necessarily right, but I know it's the algorithm kind of trying to think, well, these guys obviously like coffee, so here's 50 people who make coffee. And it's like, that's not really working, is it? Like, we're probably not the target customer.
No.
But it's bizarre.
For casual listeners who maybe have never placed an ad on social media, the way it works is every time you click on an advert, the business is actually paying for you engaging with that piece of content. So it's wild. Us getting hundreds of coffee adverts and engaging with those adverts with no intention of buying necessarily, because we have coffee coming out of our ears in the roastery and in the shop.
Exactly.
We don't have a huge amount of need to be buying coffee, but it's costing these businesses money. It's quite strange. And it kind of going deeper into that, obviously it costs a lot of money to get someone who then will actually buy something. And when your average spend is maybe £10 in a bag of coffee, that could be seen as a bit of a waste of time and money.
Yeah, I think we've chatted about that a lot. It's and you'll hear this if you do follow e-commerce and are kind of in this industry, the cost of acquiring a customer, customer acquisition cost, or CAC. Is the abbreviation for that. But previously, we sell boxes of coffee, which one box costs £10 to £12 plus shipping. The previous cost to acquire one customer, maybe to buy that, could have been 50p. Now it might be £5. It might be what you have to spend. And obviously, we're not making £5 on each box of coffee, so it's no longer viable to do ads to acquire customers.
That's wild.
Well, we've chatted about this a lot. So where do you go? Marketing potentially is changing. Well, it is changing. And I think there is a movement back towards traditional marketing. And that's kind of some of the stuff that we are trying to do and enjoying doing. You know, the launch of these boxes, doing that Apple style video, it's kind of trying to do organic, engaging content.
Yeah. Do you think you can ever do too much? Because I think like a fear is always that, you know, at some point you put out something which is terrible and it encourages that cancel culture. But at the same time, I kind of fall into the camp of being like, you should be putting out as much content as you can physically make. It's like what's the expression? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I send you stuff all the time by Gary Vaynerchuk. So Gary V, who's worth a follow if you're into this kind of stuff. And one of his big pushes is he says you should be making, you know, 4 or 5 pieces of TikTok content per day. That's just TikTok. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, you should be posting on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You should be doing it all every day.
That's wild.
And his view is, no, there is not enough. You can never produce enough content. So.
Fair. Good answers then.
Yeah.
So basically more of the same. We just keep, I mean, this is us doing our marketing right now, which is Inception or something like that.
It is marketing Inception.
yeah. Marketing while we're talking about marketing a coffee business. Fascinating. Buy some coffee.
Yeah. It's a very tough topic, and I think it's one that now is absolutely dominating all the discussions businesses are having. So Treen, Cairngorm, 50% of our time is spent talking about marketing.
Yeah. So this is probably some valuable insight, is a bit of the behind the scenes about, you know, our day-to-day working week, and like a lot more the conversation is like, how do we free up time to dedicate to creating content? It's like we can now see the value in that, and you can see it as fairly like linear. It's, you know, you spend time on content, you make money in return. It's pretty mad. And when you stop making content, for the most part, especially online, things do tail off, which is fascinating.
Yeah, so we chat about this again. It's kind of engaging with your customer through a organic and legitimate way, where it's like, we actually love coffee. Mm-hmm. You know, we work with our head of coffee, Adrian, to produce amazing coffee. You know, you have put a lot of effort into the branding of the coffee. And it's like, so we've done a lot of hard work. Mm-hmm. And now we just want to build those relationships with customers, where it's a genuine relationship where you're saying, we think we've got a great product, we love our own product, and hopefully you like our product too. And if you can sell that in a genuine way, where we actually do care about our customers, we care that you get a good coffee, then, you know, that is marketing. At the end of the day, is convincing someone to buy a product. And I think a lot of that sometimes gets lost in the influencer culture that we live in, that is about having a genuine connection between your business and a customer, and them appreciating and, you know, liking the product you're selling.
Yeah. Well, that'll probably conclude it. So that's quite a mic drop. Yeah. No, it is really interesting, and I think it's it's something we'll continue to talk about, because, you know, we're just scratching the surface of how we market our business, and I think there's like a lot that we can still do, and I think there's a lot as a wider small business community that we can do better in marketing ourselves. And I think, you know, for a long time it's kind of been a very Scottish mindset that I've been in, and you maybe have as well, where it's like, you don't want to put yourself out there because you know that people are going to criticize you, because that is a part of our Scottish mentality, bizarrely. It's like beat you down if you get too full of yourself. But at the same time, you know, all these American businesses are marketing themselves so well because they just don't give, they don't care. I mean, so it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, for people who are listening to this, people who follow Cairngorm, you're going to see us producing silly content. You're going to see us doing lots of things, and I think that's just kind of, again, it's us doing what we enjoy. We're not really doing anything that we don't enjoy, and we're trying to position the brand as an enjoyable thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And we enjoy making content. We enjoy having fun. We enjoy doing stupid videos. we enjoy doing serious videos. But our probably ultimate aim of the content we produce is we should enjoy doing it.
100%. Good place to leave it.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.